So can we compare the background of these students? Comparing the background, the years of computer use, there is some difference between local schools and the international school, but I would say not too big. There's some difference in terms of access to computers at home, but not too big. Duration of daily computer use at home, not too big. Sources of help when encountering difficulties, there's some difference. The international schools are much more prone to, they would say they would ask help from IT technicians. Whereas in Hong Kong it's much less. And then for local schools, the students actually report more in terms of finding reference books and checking relevant manuals when they have technical difficulties. So that means support for students in the international school is much bigger. And of course, there's a huge difference in terms of parents' education level. So we cannot directly compare, but I think the digital divide is there. So what's the summary of the key findings? In terms of students' learning outcomes, students are generally familiar with access, define, and manage the basic level, but do not have it. But have difficulties in reaching higher levels of performance. Integrate, evaluate, communicate, and create are more difficult. And then the digital divide among students are huge. Students' information literacy achievement appears to relate not only to their own academic achievement, but also what schools and teachers do. So schools matter. Schools matter. And in fact, when we did the analysis of the students' achievement between different locations, surprisingly, for the same banding, schools in the new territories, in fact, achieve higher. So, people coming from within Hong Kong, they know. So the schools which are more willing to try and consider the use of ICT seem to have helped the students to use technology for learning more than the more established so-called high-banding schools. So I think this is something that we might want to consider more. So what have we achieved? I think we have achieved a lot in terms of infrastructure, but it seems that the centralized things are very common. But the distributed ones, the spread across schools are very big. In terms of the teachers, the enablement have been achieved much more. But the pedagogical competence is less. Support, technical is much better, but the pedagogical is much less. Learning outcomes, technical skills, they're okay. But the information literacy is still to be worked on. Teacher adoption of ICT use, traditional, they're pretty high. We have, about more than 80% of our teachers reporting use, which is amongst the highest within the CITE countries. But in terms of the pedagogical orientation, they're mainly traditional, the lifelong learning connectedness are much lower. So I think as a kind of leaving message, I would say curriculum innovation and learning communities is something that we need to consider very strongly in terms of our policy. Leadership should be distinguished from management and administration. And then research and development, that's my bias, I think is important. So with this, thank you very much.